Hello, everyone. Welcome to week number 4 in Science 200. This week is all about putting together the information that you've collected so far on your topic, and then also deciding who your audience is, and a little bit more than that. So let's see what we've got going on. Last week was week 3, and you found sources to help you describe your topic and to help you answer the question that you have also raised about your topic. Finding sources is terribly important. I hope you used good databases for that. The Shapiro Library is wonderful. Even though it is a tremendously big database, you at least can find full text articles. Almost everything is full text. So you can use that. You could use Google Scholar, which is excellent too, and PubMed. Now with Google Scholar and PubMed, you're not going to get as many full text articles, but a lot of the time you can read the abstract. And like I said last week, the abstract is terribly important because it gives you a synopsis of the whole research that happened that's been printed in this article. All right, this week you're going to read through chapter 4 and work through the exercises. This is not as much material this particular week because you've got your rough draft to work on for your topic. You're going to decide who your audience is, so I will explain that in just a minute. The first part of chapter 4 is all about the levels of scientific communication. And the first level is primary research that is published in very specialized scientific journals. So a journal is basically a magazine. Now, of course, you know, they used to be paper and now they're all online. But they are very specialized. My dissertation research was published after I graduated. I wrote it up for a journal, and it was published in the journal Electrophoresis. You have never heard of that. You have no idea what electrophoresis is, right? So they're very, very specialized. So that's the way that most primary research is published in scientific journals. And then we move on down to review articles. So some scientist who specializes in a particular area will gather up information from colleagues, from whatever is published out there, and compile it and put it all together and write it in a way that makes it understandable. So a lot of people in the general public can understand a review article. You may not know every single term in it, but you can look up those terms and find out what they mean. So review articles are awesome. Also, is a compilation of a lot of different references. So if you're looking for references to help you, a review article is a good place to start. Look at their reference section. Look through the introduction where they've done all this background research, because those references will be in that section and you can find out whether that particular reference will be good for you or not. So we've got review articles, and then we dwindle all the way down to news articles. Okay, news articles are meant to be entertaining. If you are not enticed to open a news article by the headline, by the photograph, whatever it is, you are not going to open it, and that company who's making that article is not going to get your business. So it has to be entertaining. Is it full of a lot of information? No, it is not. Is it always reliable information? No, it is not. Is the point of it to educate people? No, it is not. It is to entertain you. So you have to remember that. Hopefully, all of your sources were not from news sources. I'm just hoping. And you have everything in between. You have scientific blogs. You have scientific magazines like Scientific American that is written on the level of the general public who is interested in science topics, who wants to get an idea of what the CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing system is, or you want to know how electric vehicles work, or, oh my goodness, you want to know the latest research on black holes, anything like that. That's Scientific American. And then there are others like that, the Smithsonian Magazine and things like that. So there's all different levels of science communication out there. Check your feedback on your questions because you're going to compile everything that you've done so far and add to it for this week's rough draft. This week you're going to turn in your rough draft, so it includes your background information, describing your issue. Please, please don't forget that. Don't just move right in and tell me why GMOs are bad for you. The people that you're presenting to may not know what a GMO is. So you have to tell them genetically modified organism. And then tell them, well, what are the genes that people put, biotech companies put into these organisms? And why do they put them in there? You got to explain all that before you can delve into your topic. So you're going to put together everything that you have so far, including those sources, and add to it. So what else are you going to add to it? Who is your audience? That's what you're going to decide this week. Now, for me, I have talked to audiences from every age group, every knowledge base, everyone that I can think of, literally from preschoolers who cannot read, who cannot even cut with scissors yet. Yeah, I did science experiments with them, all the way to a nursing home. That was a hoot. Oh my word, trying to get them to solve a crime scenario using scientific techniques. That was interesting. To medical doctors who worked at the Greenville Hospital while I did research. They sort of went along with what they were doing. To professionals and other scientists who knew the type of work that I was doing, to middle schoolers, to people in my research group, just a wide variety of people. And I always had to remember, who is this audience? How much do they know about my topic? How am I going to present this to them where they will understand it, appreciate it, and ask me good questions about it, right? A couple of years I presented to the Surgical Assistants Association. And so that was interesting because my background is in microbiology and also in DNA. So I had to look at their jobs from their point of view and tell them how what I knew applied to them. So who is your audience? And then how are you going to get your information across to them? You got to figure out strategies for that. And then in the next part, you're going to figure out what your natural principles are. At least one, but all the way up to maybe 3. So for example, what the heck does that mean? So what overarching scientific ideas, phenomena, subjects are included in your topic? So if your topic is ocean acidification, the carbon cycle in the world is terribly important because through the burning of fossil fuels, we are putting way too much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That carbon dioxide dissolves into the ocean water and makes it become more acidic as we go. More and more and more acidic. That means the pH is being lower. So the carbon cycle is very important. If you're talking about biodiversity conservation, then evolution is important because the changes in genes in a species over time is what is happening when there's any kind of stressor whatsoever on an ecosystem. And that's when you lose biodiversity. Adaptation, that would be another overarching idea that has to do with biodiversity conservation. Electric vehicles, let's see. Energy production, energy sources, what are they, where do they come from, how environmentally friendly are they, all that sort of thing. If you're not sure about natural principles for your particular topic, all you have to do is ask me. I'll be glad to help you out with that. And are your sources appropriate for your question? Are they relevant? So that means, do they actually give you information about your topic? And are they credible? Are they good sources from scientists or just some person with an opinion on the internet? Yeah, we don't want that. No discussion board postings for this week. The main thing that you've got is that rough draft. And of course, that is due, along with your textbook work, by Sunday. All right. Here is the outline for your guidelines for the rough draft. I want to point out some things. I've highlighted some things on this page. This is exactly what you see in our course. Describe the issue, just like I talked about with GMOs. You can't just start in on GMOs and talk about how unhealthy they are. That makes no sense. You can't do that when you're making a presentation. First of all, you have to say what a GMO is, right? And then, why are people genetically modifying organisms? It is a very expensive, tremendously expensive endeavor. So why do companies do this? Because otherwise, if it wasn't making them a profit, they certainly would not be doing it. So describe your issue. What is an electric vehicle? How is it powered? Explain that. Explain how that's different from all the other vehicles out there. Why is this issue significant? Isn't that really important? Because if you don't tell your audience why this is important, why this is significant, they're not going to care. You totally lost them on the first slide. So make sure you do that. Describe at least 3 of your sources. We talked about that, and you've already done that. Develop a specific question. I don't know if I told you to modify yours, so make sure you look at your feedback. Then in the body, notice that all these sections are labeled. So big numeral 1, introduction. Under that, smaller numbers, right? The body of the paper is this last section, and you haven't done this yet. You have to identify your audience. Who is this audience that you're going to speak to? Now, if you're going to speak to a whole bunch of experts, it's going to be difficult for you. You are not an expert, right? I know that you're not, because you're not even a science major. So don't choose experts in the field. If you want to choose a bunch of governmental officials, go for it, because they don't know anything about it. If you want to choose a high school class who's interested in environmental science, go for it. If you want to present to a group of medical doctors, fine. The general public, great. Community forum, great. So choose your audience. And then how are you going to deliver that message to your audience? Give specific examples. See that in the red? Give specific examples. What are you going to do? How are you going to strategize this where you get them to understand what you're talking about and care about your topic? All right, and then identify natural science principles, 1 or more. And like I said, if you get stuck, please just let me know. And then explain, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Woo. I've been sneezing all day long. Explain how the principle of principles applies to your issue in question. Like I explained with the ocean acidification, the carbon cycle refers to how carbon cycles through the whole biosphere, round and round and round, right? And what we're doing with burning fossil fuels is putting way too much carbon dioxide up there in the atmosphere, and something has to happen with it, right? So explain how it affects your particular topic. And this will be the main portion of your presentation. You got a couple other things left to go, and I'll talk about those in the next weeks. All right, m.sigmon@snhu.edu. That's my email address. Please let me know if you need anything. If you get stumped, especially with those natural principles, because you guys are not scientists, so you don't know all of this. All you have to do is ask. I'm here to help you. Just email me. I'll be glad to help. All right. With that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful week number 4 this week.